Welcome everyone to another live edition of More Than Money. My name is Stephen Balance and I am happy to be on the More Than Money ministry team. As you can see, we're a little short-staffed today. It's just me. Mark and Tim are actually out of the office, so it'll be me bringing you a little bit of content today. I hope you're all right with that. However, just to let you know, it's going to be the same good and biblical content that you're used to getting. So bonus on that. Before we get started, I'm actually going to tell you up front what I'm going to be talking about. It's something that's a little near and dear to my heart, and I'll give you a little hint. It's beginning of the year. You maybe have made some goals, maybe some things that you want to improve upon. You've had a week or two to think about them. That's right, we're going to talk about, no, not resolutions. We actually already did a small two-part series on that, and you can catch that on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I recommend checking it out. It'll really help you rethink some of your resolutions and what you can do to improve upon them. No, actually, today we're going to be talking about something that coincides a lot with resolutions, and that would be planning and priorities. Now, planning and priorities, you know, it might not sound all that interesting, but this kind of helps you achieve and plan to achieve those resolutions. So they're extremely important. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. Planning and priorities, they're not the same as resolutions. They're kind of along the same road, but they're definitely not the same. Think of it this way. A resolution is, say, a goal, something you want to achieve for your life, something that you can really see yourself doing, and you know you really want to put forth that effort year after year to achieve something. It's an accomplishment, say the checkered flag at the end of the race. It's something that you can actually almost put a tangible feel on. Well, planning and priorities, it's a little different. They're the methods that get you there. They're the hydration that keeps you going. They're the well-tuned vehicle that keeps you running toward that checkered flag. So your resolutions are at the end, they're the accomplishment, but your planning and priorities, they're the vehicle that moves you toward that. So I think one of the issues though, and it's just like me, I do this too, I think we tend to focus a lot on the resolution and not as much on the planning methods to get there. And I think that that's one of the reasons that we don't accomplish them a lot. But don't get me wrong, resolutions are great. I have them, I think everybody has them. Personally, I think that it's kind of a ridiculous thing that we only do it every January. I think that you should constantly be improving yourself. You should constantly be wanting to improve your life and the lives of those around you, constantly reaching towards bigger and higher goals. And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, it's not just people who has them. Say for instance, we're More Than Money. Everything financial from a biblical perspective. We have our resolutions too. Did you know every single week we meet here in this room and we talk about these kind of things? We talk about how we can grow each other, how we can improve each other. That one's interesting. But how we can improve ourselves so that we can move forward together as a team. We're all running this race together, so we want to improve ourselves as well. So we, as More Than Money, we have a resolution and we constantly build and constantly improve upon it. So I bet you're maybe wondering what's More Than Money's resolution? I'll read this. This is probably the best I could come up with because we keep improving upon it and it gets better every time we do it. So our resolution: to help those who are impoverished be lifted up and embrace the liberty that Christ offers in all areas of life. This includes finances. This includes, everything. It's not just finances. Yes, it's more than money. It's everything financial from a biblical perspective, but we want to be there in your entire life, not just the financial part. So that is our goal. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. By the end of it, I hope to give you 4 points that'll help you on your path to finding the right priorities, to finding the right plan so that you can actually achieve your resolutions. Honestly, kind of wish I knew these years ago. And I really think that you guys will find them beneficial. So definitely stay tuned. But before we do that, I kind of want to backtrack just a little bit. I know it's kind of a mean thing for me to do, I think, is to get you all hyped up and then backtrack and pull the reins a little bit, but there's a reason. See, if we don't have a solid foundation to build these plans and these priorities on, then there's really no reason for us to do it. Our foundation will be muddy and sandy and it'll topple over. We want our foundation to be on the only thing that is solid enough to build our plans upon, and that is Christ, that is God. So as we go into that, I have two verses that I think might help you out a little bit as far as how to build a solid foundation for your plans so that you can accomplish your resolutions. So the first verse is Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Second verse, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, God, and he will direct your paths. See, when God is our main priority, everything else falls into place. So I'm going to give you this disclosure right up front. Everything I say from here till the end of this broadcast is under the assumption that God's will is what is going to be the best in your life. Not necessarily yours. God's will is greater than ours. So I want you to keep that in mind. Let me ask you something. I almost don't want to ask this. Have you ever had a resolution that failed? I know I have, a lot, every year. Usually, this is made because everything I do, everything I think of as far as resolutions, they're too general. They don't have a lot of specifics to them. I don't have an actual plan to accomplish my resolutions. The thing is, even Jesus, when he came down to earth, he had a plan. He didn't get here and think, you know what, maybe 30-something years, I'll do a bunch of stuff, I'll get a couple books written about me, and then, save the world somehow, I'll figure it out. He didn't leave it to future Jesus. If I know anything about me, I have left plenty of things to future Stephen, and I'm not very happy with that. Future Stephen has done me a lot of wrong, I think. But Jesus actually had a plan. He had a resolution to flip eternity upside down, and that's what he did. So, going on that, talking about a lot of plans, it's time to implement those. It's time to implement the plan so that you can accomplish those resolutions, the things that you make every year. So, I want to kind of give you an idea on how to do that. And honestly, I think the best way to do that is to go from the general to the specific. To take your resolutions of, here, I'll give you an example. Resolution this year for me. I want to save more money. That sounds nice. I bet that's one of yours. It's probably everyone in this office and everyone watching, I'm sure that's a resolution of yours, to save more money. Okay, it's a very general thing. The thing that I would recommend is why, how much, what for, what am I gonna do when I get it, what am I saving it for, all that stuff. It's very important. So I'm going to help you out with that. I'm going to give you 4 planning points that you can run across any of your resolutions, and you can implement those planning points so that you can prioritize and make an actual tangible plan on paper on how you are going to accomplish your resolutions, whether they be money or otherwise. Now, before I do that, keep in mind, I am not a financial guru. I have just as many problems as everyone else. If you really want a designated plan, definitely contact a financial advisor. They would be well qualified for it, and I think you should do that with just about any financial matter. So these are just concepts. So the first of these 4 planning points, I would say, very easy. Why? That's the first point. Why? Why do you want to do it? I'll give you an example. Same example as before. I want to save more money this year. Why? Say it's for emergencies. Okay, still very general. Is your emergency the same as my emergency? Do I qualify it the same? Emergency for me will consist of thousands of dollars. You could be really well financially, and yours could only be, your emergency would be if my friends want to go out to eat, I want to have enough money for that. Emergency is different, so you have to kind of specify what it means. Is it the same as everyone else's? Like you really got to figure that out. See, the thing is, I think when we generalize too much, we become very lax in our planning. And when we do that, we tend to think that, again, future you is going to take care of it. And, well, I don't know about you, I know about me. How has future you done for you so far? Usually when there's not a plan, that's when some of the problems come along. So, say I can give a fix for that. I want to save more money this year. Okay, put some specifics to it. Again, general to specific. I want to save more money in case I lose my job. I want to save more money in case I lose my job and I need money for 6 months. Then you start to figure out the little specifics in your life that really make your life unique. You make so much an hour. So in order to afford your so many bills, you would need to save this much every month in order to afford you living this much without a job. I mean, there's a lot of thought to it, but once you start taking those general things of future you is going to take care of it and start asking yourself, okay, why? Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to read my Bible in a year? Why do I want to, save more money? And you start pulling that closer and closer and closer and keep asking why after every time. Emergency, okay, why? Well, I don't want to get into an accident, okay, why? And then just keep narrowing it down, then you end up getting an actual plan together. So that's our first point is why. Our second planning point of how to prioritize and how to get yourself to actually reach your resolutions is, again, pretty easy. How? How are you going to do it? Let's use a slightly different example, not so much the money part. How am I going to read my Bible in a year? If you're like me, you probably think you're extremely busy, which I think that I am. And as much Netflix as I watch, I guarantee I'm not. But how are you going to do this? Are you going to, get off of work and think, you know what, whenever I get to it, I'll just read a couple chapters a day here and there, and eventually after a year, it's going to add up to me reading the entire Bible. Again, it's a very general thing. You're just leaving it out in the open there. You can't really do that and have it work. You have to set aside a specific time for God. And that's just general good sense, is setting aside time for God every day. So say it's reading your Bible. The Bible has this many chapters, and there's this many days in the year. And even if you use simple division, if you read this many chapters and, there's this many days in the year, you read so many chapters a day and you're good to go. Or you can do what the rest of us do at the beginning of the year. Get yourself on a Bible reading program and it'll divide it out. And that way, 2 or 3 days where if you happen to miss it, you're still on track. Don't leave yourself open to the, you're not too concerned about it. Future you's going to take care of it. You're not concerned how. You just know it'll happen eventually. It doesn't work like that. And you know what? If you start now, then your resolutions from this year, the next year, your life goals, the ones that last longer than year by year by year, they're going to start stacking. It's the snowball effect. They're going to start stacking on top of each other. It's going to be amazing. So that's our second point. First point was why? Why do you want to do this? Second point is how. How are you going to accomplish this? The third point is kind of painful. I don't want to tell you because when I was looking into it, it was really painful for me. And the third point is this realistic? One of the things that I've noticed about people is when they make resolutions, I'm going to lose 30 pounds this year. Is that realistic? Let me give you an example. Say you get married and you get a house. What's one of the first things you think? We have a house now. We have a kitchen in the house. So we're never going to go out to eat. Why would we do that? Why would we spend money and go out to eat when we have a perfectly fine kitchen here? I went through the same thing, and let me tell you, I think I went out to eat more because I was tired and I didn't want to cook. So is that a realistic thing? You're not going to spend that money? Probably not. It's the same as, every paycheck I'm going to save $300 every paycheck because I want to be here by this time. It's probably a very good goal. That's fantastic. And if you can do that, that's great. I encourage you to do that. But if you can save $300 and something happens and you can't pay your bills, it's not a good thing. It's not realistic. And the thing is, when God is in front of this, he kind of hopes that it's realistic. It's the same with your relationship with him. When you say, I'm going to grow closer to God, give a little specific. What do you mean by growing closer? Is that realistic? Just kind of setting that out there? What does growing closer even look like? So I would say something a little easier. Say, financial aspect, more than money. Say you go out every Saturday and you spend $25 on Chinese food. Little guilty. Say instead, get a $5 pizza every weekend and save those $20 so that you can save up to possibly $80 a month. It's pretty realistic, but I'm not going to lie to you and, pretend that it's not going to take enormous amounts of discipline. The thing is, it's a new year. What you've heard, the new year, new you, right? We're all in this together. We all want to help each other accomplish these goals, these resolutions. And I honestly believe that it takes more than just one of us talking to each other to really accomplish and get a plan. So that kind of thing is realistic. So I would recommend, the first, why? Why do I want to do this? The second, all right, I know why, how? How am I going to implement this? The third, is this realistic that I can do this? And the last, definitely not the least, probably the most important on this whole list, does it glorify God? We are more than money. We aren't going to shy away from the fact that believing that God's plan is the best plan for you and your life and your finances. That's all together. Your life is not separate from your finances, separate from your work, separate from your play. That's not how life works. Your life is your life. It's just one life. So this is the last and final question that you need to ask yourself. Does this glorify God? However, might I suggest that you don't wait till the very end of this list, like I did, to point it out, to really start thinking about God in your life. Don't wait till the end. Don't plan this giant thing and then get to the end knowing in your heart that it's not going to glorify God, and then you're bummed, and then you don't want to accomplish these resolutions anymore. So our first is why? Why do I want to do this? Our second is the planning stage, prioritizing. How am I going to accomplish this resolution? The third, is this realistic? Is this something that is feasible for me to do? And the fourth, with all that in consideration, is this going to glorify God? There's a passage in James that talks about two men who they're going to a new city, they're going to sell their wares, they're going to make money, they're going to be rich over the next year or so. And James tells them this: why? You don't even know what will happen to you tomorrow. And a little later in the passage he says, indeed, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live here and do this or that. The thing is, God's not against planning. He's not against your plans. He just wants to be part of them. And might I say so, he kind of wants to be the main focus. It is God after all. He's God. He's the one who gave you life. He's the one who came down and died on the cross for you to save you from yourself and your sins and to keep you with him for all of eternity. So he just wants to be a part of your plans. He wants to be a priority in your plans. He doesn't want to be on the back burner. You know, he doesn't want to where, for instance, you get your paycheck and you're like, all right, I paid all my bills, I did everything, I ate out, I went and got, you know, my car washed and all that, and now I might have a couple bucks left over for God. Like, he doesn't want that. And in all reality, in your heart, you don't want that for you. So as you move forward this next year, please give some thought and some prayer to actually prioritizing and maybe planning, having a good, tangible, written down plan as to how to go about your resolutions. Make them priorities in your life. I don't know if you've heard the adage, you can have results or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. So it's a new year, new resolutions everywhere. I've got some, companies have some, you have some. Like you, I'm looking right at you. You have priorities. So look into them, plan for them, make an actual plan to accomplish them. Don't let another year go by where you don't grow, where you don't save, or you don't love, or where you don't grow closer to God. Don't let another year go by. So that's about all the time we have today. I hope this was helpful to you. Please, if you get a chance, check out our Facebook page. Obviously, streaming Facebook Live right now. Check out our YouTube channel. We're all over social media, More Than Money, and we definitely want to hear from you. You know, please click, like, subscribe to our videos, and any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you guys. Anything that we can do to improve. So, with all that said, with all the craziness in your life, I hope that just a little bit today, that I've helped you realize that life is so much more than money. Thank you guys. I'll see you next week.